Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? That's always the question we first ask. And welcome to SUMA's Provincial Election Forum. Today's session is designed to ask both provincial parties about the municipal priorities that are most important to our SUMA membership. My name is Randy Goulden, and I'm the president of SUMA and a councillor for the city of Yorkton. While we were gathering virtually today, I would like to acknowledge that SUMA's offices and the full office is on Treaty 4 territory and the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to this land and its people, recognizing their enduring legacy. I encourage you now to take a moment to reflect on the treaty land and the peoples that reside here. Now let's get going. Let's get starting. Let's get this forum going. And I would like to say that we have a number of questions based on SUMA's election advocacy priorities. Those priorities are around municipal autonomy and municipal sustainability. We also gave every participant an opportunity to put forward additional questions. When you registered, you were given that opportunity, and we've incorporated, and we will incorporate those questions as well. Depending on time, we may still be able to take a few questions from those of you attending today. So I would encourage you to put those into the Q&A sections and bring them to the attention of our SUMA staff that are with us today. This session is being recorded and will be available on the SUMA member portal by the end of the week. So thank you all for attending. It's great to have you all here today on this beautiful day in our province. Now, before we get started with the forum, there's always a couple of housekeeping items that we need to go over. And today, if you're having any difficulties with audio, click the audio setting button in the bottom left-hand corner. From here, you can change which speakers your audio is played through or switch to phone audio. And also, the Q&A feature is on the bottom bar of your Zoom screen. If you'd like to submit a question, you can also see the other submittal questions and click the thumbs up icon next to the question you think is most important, which will bump it up to the top of the list. Party representatives will both have the opportunity to address each question, and they will be allowed 2 minutes for each answer. We will be alternating who gets to answer first for each question. We would love to know where you are joining us from. So if you haven't already, you can let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. Please feel free to share comments you have throughout the presentation. It is now my pleasure to introduce the representatives here today with us. This morning, Laurie Carr joins us from the Saskatchewan Party. Laurie was first elected as the MLA for Estevan in the 2016 provincial election and was re-elected October 26, 2020. Living in Estevan with her partner Bart, Laurie spent 20 years working as a licensed assistant in a financial planning office. Laurie is very active in the community as a board member for the Air Cadet League, Sun County Country Health Region, and Ducks Unlimited. Laurie also spent 10 years serving on Estevan City Council. With us this morning is Erica Ritchie. She joins us from the New Democratic Party. Erica is a longtime community leader and MLA for Saskatoon-Newtana. An environmental engineer by trade, she worked for nearly 3 decades to advance climate action, environmental protection, and sustainable resource development with the provincial government, KNS Potash 1, Cameco, and others. Throughout, she formed valuable relations with Indigenous communities and worked to ensure resource development respected their rights and their land. Her advocacy and volunteering has also advanced the interests of her community and the rights of workers. She's a mom of 4 growing children, which instilled in her a love of family and a desire to future generations. So thank you both for joining us today. Now, prior to starting today's session, we randomly drew to determine the order for introductory remarks. We will then go to alternating orders for Q&A and give the other candidate the first opportunity to speak at the end of the session. Erica Ritchie will go first. So Erica, you have 5 minutes for some introductory remarks. Go right ahead, Erica.
Thank you very much, Randy. And thanks to everyone at SUMA for helping organize this forum. It's a pleasure to be here and to see everyone that's been joining us from right across the province. I'm watching the webinar chat with seeing folks from Lanigan, Humboldt, Kipling, Carrot River, Cabri, and on it goes. So exciting to see everyone's participation. We've been knocking on doors across the province, talking to voters and sharing our vision for the future of Saskatchewan. And everywhere we go, we keep hearing the same thing. It's time for change. We're hearing it from seniors and families who are struggling to pay the bills, from parents whose kids are in overcrowded and underfunded schools and not getting the support they need, while teachers tell us they feel unsupported and undervalued. From people struggling to get basic health care and waiting for hours in the ER. From doctors and nurses who are telling us that the healthcare system in Saskatchewan is broken when they leave the province in record numbers. And from business owners who are struggling just to keep their heads above water. That's why Carla Beck and the Saskatchewan New Democrats have been laying out a plan to make life more affordable, create good jobs, and to get education and healthcare out of last place. We will cut the gas tax on day one, reducing fuel costs by 15 cents per liter, and take the PST off kids' clothes and groceries, putting more money back in people's pockets and saving families hundreds of dollars. And we will fix healthcare by investing in doctors and nurses so that people can get the care they need when they need it. We'll create a grow your own strategy to hire and train local people to work in healthcare in their own communities and increase the use of nurse practitioners in areas without access to family doctors. We will invest in classrooms to get us out of last place in education and ensure that every child has the opportunity to exceed no matter what part of the province they live in. We will create jobs by prioritizing Saskatchewan workers, growing Saskatchewan companies, and freezing the small business tax to help businesses in our cities and on our main streets stay open. When it comes to municipalities, Saskatchewan New Democrats are committed to stability and predictability. We're committed to maintaining a municipal revenue sharing by maintaining the 0.75% point of PST revenue for municipalities to use with no strings attached. We're committed to increasing funding for municipal police forces and the RCMP by cutting the Sask Party's Marshal Service. There's more to come in our election platform, but we're going to be coming forward with incentives to encourage investments in the main streets and downtowns of our cities and towns across the province and address the damage of the PST on construction labor. Saskatchewan has so much potential and opportunity, but with Scott Moe and the Sask Party, they're out of ideas and they're out of touch. They have broken our healthcare system, failed to invest in education and our kids' future. And we've seen the worst job creation record in the country while businesses close across the province. But it doesn't have to be that way. This election, there is a choice. More of the same with Scott Moe and the Sask Party, or you can vote for change. An NDP government who will make the critical investments needed to lower costs, invest in our future, and get healthcare and education out of last place. I'm looking forward to the questions and the discussions here this morning. Thank you, and back to you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Erica. Now we will move for the opening remarks from Lori Carr. Go right ahead, Lori.
Well, good morning, Randy, and thank you so much for having me here today. I did notice one thing on my bio that's probably the most important. I'm the mother of 3, and I have 5 beautiful little grandchildren, so very exciting time in my world. Thank you to SUMA, its members, and of course, Miss Ritchie for being here with us today. My name is Lori Carr, and I'm the candidate for Estevan Big Muddy, and I am joining you from Estevan today. This election is about which party can keep our economy strong and our future bright. Right now in Saskatchewan, there are more people working than ever before, nearly 100,000 more jobs in Saskatchewan. There are more people living here than ever before. Saskatchewan is now home to more than 1.25 million people. Saskatchewan's economy grew by more than 27% from 2007 to 2023. We are projected to be among the leaders in growth again this year. The value of Saskatchewan's exports is almost $50 billion in 2023. That means more jobs and investment right here in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is the most affordable province in Canada. We are making it even more affordable by providing income tax relief so you can keep more of your money. Our municipalities are a key partner in growing Saskatchewan. We need to work together to meet the challenges of growth. Part of working together means providing stable and predictable municipal revenue sharing. Municipal revenue sharing has more than doubled since Saskatchewan Party took office, from $127 million in 2007 to over $340 million in 24-25. Since 2007, $4.3 billion in provincial funding has been allocated to supports for municipalities. The Saskatchewan Party has a proud record of supporting municipal partners. But today is a chance to compare our plans, to compare our records. We all remember the NDP's record of decline, the worst job creation record in all of Canada, losing so many people, jobs, and opportunities to other provinces. No municipal revenue sharing formula back then. And they were closing hospitals, schools, and long-term care beds for seniors. The NDP will crash our economy, leading to decline and closures. We have seen it before, and they will do it again. So today, ask yourself, which party has a plan to keep our economy strong and our future bright? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori, and to both of you, we appreciate your opening comments. Now, if everyone is ready, we will go to the questions that we have. And we are going to start, we're going to ask Lori to start with the answer for this first question. So the question is, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge smaller municipalities face and why? And then second to that, how do you plan to address these changes? So I'm going to go to you first, Lori.
Yeah, so I guess first of all, our small municipalities are crucial to Saskatchewan. We need to support our smaller municipalities with infrastructure and services. We've heard that loud and clear. And municipal revenue sharing in the 24-25 budget is over $200 million more than it was in 2007. That is a 167% increase. Municipal revenue sharing has more than doubled since Sask Party took office, from $127 million in 2007 to over $340 million in 24-25. $4.3 billion in provincial funding has been allocated to support municipal priorities. More than $3.1 billion has been invested in municipal infrastructure projects. We've also committed to more police officers filling the vacancies in the RCMP, and additional police officers will help smaller municipalities have the police service that they expect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori. And now I'm going to go to you, Erica. And the question was, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge smaller municipalities face and why? And then how do you plan to address these challenges? Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you, Randy. Before I begin, I just want to mention that I don't see the timer on my screen that you mentioned would be available to track our responses.
You need to hit your mouse and then it shows up in the top right-hand side.
Up your mouse. Could I have a little bit more direction, Stephanie, perhaps?
I'm honestly not sure because it should just be populating there for you. If you click on your Zoom screen, still nothing's popping up.
You would see it in the very top right of your screen, Erica, right next to view. It's quite small, but it's got a little
Okay.
blue stopwatch on it.
Yes, I see it. Okay, yeah, it's there now. Okay,
All right.
thanks, Sean.
I'll restart your 2 minutes for you.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. Okay, so municipal governments are confronting an ever-increasing set of demands as the need for an expectation of services increase, while revenue sources stagnate or shrink. Issues of aging municipal infrastructure and increasing societal needs coming out of the pandemic, while increasingly we hear the alarm bells from fire trucks and police cars calling out for their services. It's getting harder to meet all these needs within existing budgets. And offloading of provincial responsibilities by the Sask Party government has made these challenges even worse. Everywhere I go, municipal leaders tell me they can't deliver on the basic services because of the burden they've been placed under by this government. There is a lack of support in place to deal with issues like the decommissioning of buildings, providing waste collection and storage and potable water services, as well as fire and protective services. The Communities of Tomorrow was implemented by the Calvert NDP government to assist communities with these challenges, but was shut down by this government in 2013. We would work with SUMA to explore new opportunities to bring back these types of initiatives. And we believe in investing in people and providing the upfront investments that prevent unmet needs taxing our municipal services. That's why we've committed to scrapping the Marshal Service and redirecting that $20 million in operating spending into hiring more frontline police officers and providing mental health and addiction supports to increase and to fix the crisis created during the 17 years of Sask Party's misplaced priorities. Thank you.
Thank you for the answers to the first question. We're going to move on, and then I'm going to ask Erica, you're up next, and I'm going to read the question. While federal, provincial, municipal infrastructure programs can be very cost effective, they come with substantial restrictions on the project type that can be undertaken. What would your party do to ensure that municipalities can access infrastructure funding for a broader range of allowable projects, such as fire halls, rinks, and outdoor recreation facilities? So I'm going to go to you first, Erica.
Randy? Well, as I stated in my last response, municipalities are under tremendous strain to meet the infrastructure demands of their communities, particularly when they're facing a shrinking revenue base and increasing requirements. Funding support for municipalities needs to be flexible to ensure that municipalities can fund the projects that they identify. Local leaders are the ones who have the best understanding of their local needs, and they need that flexibility. A Saskatchewan NDP government would work with the Government of Canada, regardless of political stripe or who is in the Premier or the Prime Minister's office, to ensure more flexibility for municipalities. The current Sask Party government has failed to get results on this front because their approach of dealing with Ottawa hasn't been constructive. They make a lot of noise about fighting the federal government, but they haven't got much to show for it when it comes to results. The failure to secure flexibility for municipalities from the provincial federal government is a perfect example of how ineffective the Sask Party has been in dealing with Ottawa. And we'd work to fix that by working with whoever is in power in the federal government, with them collaboratively. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica. And I'm going to go to you, Lori, and I'm just going to read the question. What would your party do to ensure that municipalities can access infrastructure funding for a broader range of allowable projects? And some of the examples may be halls, rinks, and outdoor recreation facilities.
Thanks a lot for the question, Randy. I appreciate that. The Saskatchewan Party supports having a very robust relationship with provincial, municipal, and federal infrastructure programs. The Sask Party has been very vocal when it comes to the ISIP funding and the funding that was available there. Our province, not just our province, but all provinces right across Canada, asked for more flexibility within that those funding buckets. And it's something that the federal government wasn't willing to provide for us. And that's not just something that the Saskatchewan Party government was asking for. All provincial governments were asking for that, and the federal government said no to all and gave us our buckets that we had at that point in time. And one of the things that we really wanted to do within that was to be able to allow municipalities to truly be able to spend that money on what they wanted to spend it on, whether it be fire halls, rinks, or outdoor facilities. And it was just very, very restrictive. And you do know that. And I think all of our members in SUMA were aware of that. Our hometowns know absolutely best what type of infrastructure they need. We don't need restrictive categories. We showed that when we brought out the MEEP program for the stimulus funding. We let that money flow to municipalities and they could spend it how they want, just like the revenue sharing that comes down to municipalities. The Saskatchewan Party is committed to working with people right across Saskatchewan to continue to support programs like the community rink affordability program that we have in place right now that supports rinks around our province.
Thank you very much, Lori. And you're going to be up next. So the next question to both of you. Urban fire departments play an absolutely essential part in providing public safety services around our province and in every one of our communities, including responses outside of their municipal boundaries in many cases. Unfortunately, the cost of firefighting equipment is getting more and more expensive. New pumper trucks alone cost about $250,000, which is simply untenable, particularly for our small urbans. Would your party be willing to implement a grant program to assist with the cost of firefighting equipment for municipalities? And how and what would that look like? So go ahead, Lori, with your answer.
Thank you, Randy. The Saskatchewan Party will continue to invest in our municipalities through our municipal revenue sharing program. Municipal revenue sharing, as I stated earlier, has more than doubled from 127 million in 2007 to 340 million in 24-25. And that money is no strings attached. Municipalities can prioritize what they feel is most important for them and use that funding accordingly. And I mean, I would note that the only way that number has increased to where it is because we do have a strong and growing economy. And the better our economy is doing, the more money that actually flows into the funds that flow back to municipalities. What the Saskatchewan Party has done, though, is the Saskatchewan Party has introduced a volunteer firefighter tax credit to help support our volunteer firefighters in all of our municipalities. Individual volunteers volunteer of their time for the services. They volunteer search and rescue, and they volunteer emergency medical first responder services. And they will be able to use this tax credit for all of those things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori. And for Erica, I'm going to read the question. Would your party be willing to implement a grant program to assist with the cost of firefighting equipment for municipalities, and what would that look like?
Question, Randy. We're focused on providing government revenue predictability and stability. so that municipalities can plan their capital and operating expenditures with confidence and certainty. That is why our last NDP government developed the revenue sharing formula that was subsequently implemented by the current administration. But we wouldn't freeze the amounts like the Sask Party did in 1819 and 1920 years to address their own overspending and mismanagement. We also have a plan to grow the economy and our communities so that municipalities have the tax base upon which they can continue to provide these crucial services to their rate-paying residents. That plan includes holding the business tax at 1%, incentivizing new small and medium-sized enterprises with a business loan program, and we're open to exploring new ways to support municipalities through grants for fire equipment, and we're committed to maintaining the stability and predictability that comes with the municipal revenue sharing program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica. And you might want to have a sip of water because you're up next for the next question. So the average person on a provincial income support program receives $300 less than the minimum cost of living in Saskatchewan. Many landlords are now reluctant to rent to CIS and SED recipients because of the likelihood that they may not be paid and the difficulty in getting direct payment from the government. This, coupled with a shortfall of available livable social housing, is causing increased homelessness and pressure on our municipal infrastructure and services. So what is your party's plan to address these issues and relieve municipalities of the ever-growing burden of this downloaded problem? Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you, Randy. Yeah, it's a pretty distressing situation. It's something that I hear about from concerned constituents in my community and hometown of Saskatoon. It's been very difficult. I've heard from municipal leaders on the stress and strain that it does put on those services that you are offering and basic services that you're meant to offer to your ratepayers. So we do have a plan to address the housing and affordability crisis that has deepened over the past 17 years that this government has been in power. That plan involves returning into service the 3,000 social housing units that have been left vacant during this government's administration. We will introduce a Landlord and Tenant Protection Act to provide rent predictability and certainty. We will re-implement direct rent payments to landlords for CIS and SED recipients, and will work to increase the supply of housing stock to alleviate the cost pressures that are driving up the cost of housing across the spectrum. I'll have more to say on those measures in some of my subsequent answers as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Lori, what is your party's plan to address these issues and relieve municipalities of the ever-growing burden of this downloaded problem? Go right ahead.
Thank you. The Saskatchewan Party continues to increase the CIS and SED benefits. Just this week, we announced that a re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will increase the amount an individual, couple, or family can earn without reducing their SED benefits by $1,000. Since 2007, the Saskatchewan Party government has invested in more than $800 million to develop more than 11,900 housing units and repair more than 4,700 homes across the province. The Saskatchewan Party introduced the Saskatchewan Housing Benefit, a monthly benefit that helps eligible renters with their housing costs, rents, and utilities. The provincial approach to homelessness includes funding to support the creation of 155 new supportive housing spaces, 120 new permanent emergency shelter spaces, and 30 new complex needs emergency shelter spaces. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much. And I really want to say thank you to both of you. We're going through quite a few questions, and these are the priorities that our members have identified. So I'm going to go right on to the next question so that we have time perhaps for even more questions. So Lori, take a sip of water because this is coming right at you. The last few years have seen a substantial deficiency in healthcare staff, including both doctors and the nurses. While there have been efforts made to increase recruitment from out of country, frontline staff continues to burn out and leave either the profession or the province, making staff retention critical. What is your party's plan to address healthcare staff retention? Go ahead, Lori.
Well, that's a great question. The Saskatchewan Party government's 24-25 budget invests a record $7.6 billion in healthcare, more than double the amount of healthcare funding in 2007 under the NDP. A re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will continue to hire more doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers to deliver on one of the most ambitious plans across Canada, our Health Human Resource Action Plan. And this includes Saskatchewan is adding approximately 550 new post-secondary training seats across 18 healthcare training programs. Over 1,400 nursing graduates from Saskatchewan and out of province have been hired since December of 2022. Of course, we continue to recruit. Over 245 of 250 new healthcare positions in rural and remote communities have been filled. Placements in Saskatchewan's International Physician Practice Assessment Program increased from 36 to 45. Undergraduate seats at the College of Medicine have been expanded from 60 to 108. Since 2007, there are 1,000 more doctors and 6,400 more nurses working here in Saskatchewan. This is a stark contrast to the NDP, who lost 450 nurses and 173 doctors during their time in government. Randy, I think you can see we have a very ambitious plan that is starting to show some successes. The training will take some time. Once it comes to fruition, we'll have more people, more boots on the ground, more work to be done, but we are committed to doing that work, Randy.
Thank you very much for your answer, Lori, and the commitment. And Erica, I'm going to go to you now and ask you, and I'm sure that you've heard this from our members, what is your party's plan to address healthcare staff retention?
Thank you, Randy. And I'm sure you can agree with me that our healthcare system is broken. Short staffing has become the norm in healthcare, and we're losing healthcare workers more than any other province. The reality is that Scott Moe and the Sask Party broke our healthcare system, and they can't be trusted to fix it. We've got a plan to respect healthcare workers and build with them a plan to staff up and train to hire more doctors, nurses, paramedics, and healthcare professionals to work on the front lines and at the bedside. We'll bring in a grow your own strategy to train more healthcare workers here in Saskatchewan to work in Saskatchewan with a focus on hard to recruit positions. We'll create more permanent full-time healthcare positions to ensure frontline workers can stay in their communities and phase out Scott Moe's costly contract positions. And we'll retain the healthcare workers already on the front lines by treating them with respect and ensuring they have the tools they need to do their jobs. We'll listen to local voices. By respecting healthcare workers, ensure they are valued by bringing in a different approach than the Sask Party and ending the culture of fear and reprisals. We'll create a human health resources roundtable to bring together all key players to assess the current workforce and plan for the future. We'll launch a nursing task force that the Saskatchewan Union of Nurses has been calling for more than a year. And we'll invest in a community advisory network so local communities will be heard in healthcare decision-making. It starts with respect and listening to healthcare workers, and we're going to get us out of last place in healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you to both for that answer, something that has been very important in all our urban communities. So next, and Erica, you're up again. And the question for you is, Saskatchewan municipalities are fortunate to have a municipal revenue sharing program, and you've both alluded to it. But this program's effectiveness has been reduced through downloading and tax changes. Most notably in 2017, when the province removed a PST exemption on construction labor and other various amenities, while at the same time reducing the percentage of the PST municipalities received to avoid compensating them for the annual $29 million shortfall that was created. So how will your party curtail the provincial downloading and ensure that municipalities have the funds they need to serve their residents? Go right ahead, Erica, you're first to answer.
Thank you, Randy. Downloading to municipalities is definitely a serious issue, and it's only been made worse under the Sask Party government. They've failed to provide support to the most vulnerable in our communities through changes to income support that I've already mentioned. And they've left the municipalities to fill in the gap. And what does that mean? It means that resources that should be directed towards other municipal priorities are now going to address the homelessness and mental health and addiction crises that is plaguing our communities. They failed to provide mental health and addiction supports, and we're committed to investing provincial dollars in healthcare, mental health, and policing to ensure that there are resources that municipalities won't be left to manage these problems on their own. And we're open to exploring ways to ensure that municipalities are kept whole when it comes to that municipal revenue sharing formula. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Lori, the question was, how will your party curtail provincial downloading and ensure that municipalities have the funds they need to serve the residents throughout this province? Go right ahead.
For sure. I'm going to go back to municipal revenue sharing. The highest ever level of municipal revenue sharing this year, $340.2 million. It's actually an increase of 42.4 million or 14% over last year's budget. The government of Saskatchewan pays PST on capital projects, which municipalities benefit from through the revenue sharing formula. The government paid $811.7 million total PST as a government from 2017-18 to 2022-2023. This resulted in over 100 million going into municipal revenue sharing formula and benefited municipalities over that same period of time. The 24-25 budget includes 577 million in direct supports to municipalities. Municipal revenue sharing over 340. The province's portion of infrastructure funding, ISIP, 126 million. Several grants and initiatives from multiple Government of Saskatchewan ministries and the Crown's $90 million. PST helps fund services like healthcare, education, social services, and investments into infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori, and take a sip of your coffee or water, because the next question is coming right at you. And I want to say thank you to both of you. This is a very intense hour and a half, and I take my hat off to both of you for being with us and answering these questions that our members have for you. So, Lori, most and many mental health and addiction services in Saskatchewan are delivered through agreements with community-based organizations who are often closer to those needing the services, and we know that, and can provide services at a lower cost. Unfortunately, contracts with the CBOs tend to be short-term and insufficient funding for effective program delivery. This leads to an inability to retain professional staff that's required and a reduction in programming in many of those cases. So how would each of your parties ensure that services are being delivered effectively, efficiently, through CBOs over the long term? So go ahead, Lori, you're up first on this question.
Great, thank you. Community-based organizations are fundamental to creating healthy and strong communities in Saskatchewan. Community-based organizations are critical to helping create positive outcomes and a better quality of life for Saskatchewan people who need support and assistance. Community-based organizations have demonstrated the ability to ensure that the physical, emotional, and social needs of people with intellectual disabilities are met, empowering them to live as independently as possible. Our party believes that continuing to work in partnership with community-based organizations will yield positive outcomes and improve quality of life for people with disabilities. The most recent provincial budget provides $18.1 million lift to community-based organizations across Saskatchewan. This is on top of the $17.6 million increase for community-based organizations provided in the previous year. And a re-elected Saskatchewan party government will continue to work directly with community-based organizations to ensure that they can continue to provide services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori, for your comments. And I'm going to go to you, Erica. And how would your party ensure that services are being delivered effectively and efficiently through CBOs over the long term? Go ahead, Erica.
I'm well aware of the challenges facing our CBO partners, and it's heartbreaking to witness the moral injury to these caring frontline workers and the unnecessary suffering inflicted on our most vulnerable when they can't get the care that they need. Oftentimes, these CBOs become a training ground for other higher paying agencies and opportunities in government or the SHA, which leaves our most vulnerable without the continuity of care and connection that they need and deserve. So we're committed to increasing supports for CBOs so that they can provide the important care and support that people need. And this will allow them to pay better wages to retain their staff. And we'll work with CBOs to find ways to work together with them collaboratively within the community so that all of our agencies can come together and provide a continuity of care that is going to provide efficiency across the spectrum. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. And just for our municipal members on our webinar this morning, we've just completed 7 questions. And heard the answers from the leaders that we have here with us from both the parties. I want to say thank you for that, because as I said, it's pretty intense when you've got all these questions coming at you. And I know that you've been in our municipalities and you've heard these, but we get to now listen together to your answers. So the next question, and it's going to go to you, Erica, first. Municipalities are already beginning to see the effects of climate change, which will include stronger flood and drought cycles, with accompanying wildfires and forest fires that we're seeing. How would your party help municipalities increase the resiliency of their infrastructure to cope with these changes? Go ahead, Erica, with your reply.
Thank you, Randy. The first step in solving a problem is admitting that you have one. And too often we've seen from Scott Moe and this government them discount and deny the devastating impact that highly variable weather, such as rapid freeze-thaw cycles, fires, and floods, wreak on our municipal infrastructure. Climate change is real, and Scott Moe has said he doesn't care. The Sask Party government shuttered the Office of Climate Change started by the Calvert NDP government, and they've been lackluster in their support of the Municipal Eco Action Centre. We'll work with municipalities to see how the province can improve infrastructure resilience and ensure municipalities are included in the research and development of policies around water management, that can have an impact on flooding. And we'd be open to exploring how we can support the Municipal Eco Action Center going forward. We've also committed to investing dollars through climate initiatives to rapidly build out our renewable power, energy efficiency retrofits, and cost of living relief for families. We will develop a comprehensive wetland conservation policy as one measure to protect communities from flooding. We'll work with conservation groups to invest in protecting biodiversity, wetlands, and native prairie grassland. And we'll develop a comprehensive wildfire strategy in collaboration with Northern partners to better prevent wildfires and protect communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica, for your reply. And Lori, the question was, how would your party help municipalities increase the resiliency of their infrastructure to cope with the changes that we're seeing? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Randy. The Saskatchewan Protective Services Agency provides a range of services and programs to assist communities, municipalities, Indigenous groups, and rural areas in preparing for and managing emergencies and disasters. The Saskatchewan Protective Services Agency, in partnership with the federal governments, invests in the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund. The objective of this fund is to increase the resiliency of Canadian communities by funding projects designed to manage risks associated with natural hazards such as wildfires, floods, and droughts. And Randy, the Saskatchewan Party will continue with these programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of you. And Lori, you're going to be up for the next question. So take a deep breath. Here we go. Municipalities have been closing landfills at an extremely fast pace over the last decade due to the increasing of the regulatory requirements from the federal and provincial governments. However, many towns and villages in particular are unable to afford the cost to properly decommission their landfills and put required environmental protections in place. For some communities, these costs can be many times more than their entire yearly property tax collection, making decommissioning absolutely impossible without bankrupting the community. So what is your party's plan to assist municipalities with properly decommissioning their closed landfills? Go right ahead, Lori, please.
Thanks, Randy. The Saskatchewan Party has a strong record in assisting municipalities in decommissioning their landfills. A focus of the ISIP funding, the green funding, is a decommissioning of municipal landfills. And that was very successful during that time frame. Of course, we're waiting for the federal government to hopefully reload another program where we can work on capital projects together, but that hasn't come to fruition yet. In the meantime, we have the Targeted Sector Support Fund, which also includes eligible funding for planning regional landfills. The Northern Capital Grants Program provides northern municipalities with grants to pay for capital assets, including landfills. And we will continue to support municipalities with the decommissioning of landfills. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Lori, for that, which is an important aspect to many of our communities with decommissioning landfills. And Erica, the question is, what is your party's plan to assist municipalities with properly decommissioning their closed landfills?
Safely decommissioning municipal landfills is essential for preserving our water supplies for human health and well-being. And for my time in government, I'm aware of how challenging these responsibilities can be for municipalities and have been over the past decade or more. A central tenet of our approach to government involves working in collaboration with municipal governments and other experts to identify innovative solutions that draw on the strengths of municipal governments and their regional partners, and will both limit further environmental liabilities while addressing legacy contamination in our community through those programs with the federal government as we see them evolve over the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica. So we have now gone through 9 questions. And we're going to be going to another one that is top of mind for most municipal leaders when they are going to be doing their next budget. As you both know, we cannot deficit budget, so it is absolutely essential that this must happen. Well, property taxes and municipal revenue sharing provide a foundation for municipal operations. We all know the cost of upgrading aging on infrastructure such as roads, water, wastewater treatment plants, and recreation facilities is far beyond what many urban tax bases can afford. Now, a recent survey done by Abacus Data revealed that vast majority of Saskatchewan residents surveyed recognize this and would like to see additional funding from the federal and provincial governments to assist. So what is your party prepared to do to assist municipalities in dealing with this infrastructure crisis? I'm going to go to you, Erica, for the first reply.
I mean, certainly I'm aware of the challenges municipalities face in terms of their ability to raise revenues, you know, in the current structure. And we're open to having conversations with municipalities on how to simplify and increase the frequency of property tax assessment to address some of those challenges. And we would commit to calling on the Government of Canada to make good on their commitment to offer municipalities a rebate for the costs of the federal carbon tax. As I've said before, a Saskatchewan NDP government would work with the Government of Canada, regardless of who's in the Prime Minister's office, to ensure more flexibility for municipalities. The current Sask Party government has failed to get results on this front because of their approach of fighting the federal government, and they haven't got any results to show for it. The failure to secure the flexibility that municipalities need from the federal government, as has already been discussed, is a perfect example of how ineffective the Sask Party has been in its dealings with Ottawa. And we'd work to fix that by working collaboratively with them at all levels of government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica. So Lori, the question that was posed is, what is your party prepared to do to assist municipalities in dealing with this infrastructure crisis that we're facing in all our urban communities?
Thank you. Since we've had the opportunity to become the Saskatchewan Party government, over $47 billion has been invested in provincial infrastructure. More than 3.1 billion has been invested in municipal infrastructure projects alone. A re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will continue to invest in infrastructure and deliver on our plan to meet the needs of a growing population. The 24-25 budget introduced the largest capital budget in Saskatchewan history, with 4.4 billion allocated for provincial projects. And a lot of these projects are in all of our hometowns in services that both you and I and our residents use. So that was 4.4 billion just in this year's budget alone. Over the next 4 years, a re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will invest an additional 17.9 billion into infrastructure, beginning with this year's budget. We will keep working to have a new infrastructure program with the federal government that works for all municipalities. And as I talked about earlier, as we negotiate those terms on what a future program might look like, the need for predictability, flexibility for those municipalities to be able to do what they need to do. Our municipalities know exactly what needs to come first in their own backyard, and we need to have these programs reflect that. And we will continue to advocate with the federal government on that. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much to both of you. This is a critical budgetary, you know, for all our urban municipalities. So thank you for your answers. And Lori, I'm going to go back to you again. You start us off on this one. And Now, and this was alluded to in some of the replies, but Saskatchewan is currently the only province in Canada without a wetland policy, which leaves the province at much greater risk, both flooding and drought damage, and decreases the water quality upon which many of our municipalities, and particularly our resort villages, who depend on it for tourism and quality of life. Will your party commit to developing and implementing a wetland policy in cooperation with municipal stakeholders and conservation groups? And how will you do that? So go ahead, Lori, please.
Thank you, Randy. The Water Security Agency is developing an agriculture water stewardship policy, and that work began in 2020 with an investment of $1 million. This stewardship policy will contain a wetlands component. A broad interest-based engagement began in July of 2022 and focused on engaging with agriculture stakeholder groups, environmental groups, municipal and community organizations, First Nation and Métis organizations, and communities, and key research organizations. With input from engagement and learning from our demonstration and research projects, Water Security Agency is developing a policy that will support our producers, allowing for economic growth while protecting the environment. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Lori. And I'm going to go to Erica now. And will your party commit to developing and implementing a wetland policy in cooperation with municipal stakeholders and conservation groups? And how will you do that? Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you for the question, Randy. I think it's a pretty well-known fact amongst this audience that I have been championing the development of a comprehensive wetland conservation policy that would involve stakeholders from the municipal sector, as well as conservation groups, Indigenous rights holders, and others. And I've done that work through my last term, presenting a private member's bill that would take effect, that I introduced during the last session of the legislature. Pardon me. A Carla Beck government would implement such a policy to protect and ensure a safe water supply and guard against flooding and drought damage and habitat loss. We would ensure municipal leaders would be consulted through the development of that policy. And I just want to point out that the program that Ms. Carr mentioned that the SAS Party has been working on has been put under serious scrutiny, and there's a lot of concern about that approach and the balance that's being struck in terms of how wetlands will be protected. As well, I would also note that in the latest annual report from the Buffalo Pound treatment plant, that they've identified concerns with the quality of supply and how that impacts the cost of operating their water treatment plant because of the diminished water quality in the source water that they're using at that plant. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you very much to both of you. An important topic coming from our municipalities and things that we've heard from them and most recently at our annual meeting. So I'm going to start with you, Erica. There's no rest here. We want to get as many questions from our members as we can in this short time that we have. So many small communities, they continue to struggle with economic development and the recruitment and retention of newcomers. So without greater assistance, these communities may continue to shrink and lose both residents and services. So what will your party do to assist with economic development in our towns and villages and with the attraction and retention of newcomers in small urban Saskatchewan? Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you, Randy. Saskatchewan New Democrats understand that attracting and retaining people is a serious challenge for many small communities today. Under Scott Moe and the SAS Party, we have lost thousands of people to other provinces through interprovincial migration. largely because people are frustrated with the state of important public services like healthcare and education. And by making investments in these important services, we will ensure that we can keep people working in Saskatchewan for the long term and help our communities thrive. I would also say that as I've been talking to community members in my roles as critic for water security and municipal affairs, that there's community fabrics have weakened over the past years because of increased divisions amongst community members. And we would work to ensure that people are being brought together to work collaboratively on addressing the issues facing their communities. As I've already mentioned, we have a plan to grow our economy, support our workers. We will do that through incentives to supporting small and medium-sized businesses and investing in our hometowns and main streets right across Saskatchewan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica, for your reply. And I'm going to go to Lori. And the question that was posed is, what will your party do to assist with economic development in our towns and villages and with the attraction and retention of newcomers in small urban Saskatchewan?
Well, thanks, Randy. And this is really such a great question. But the question for this election is, who will keep our economy strong and our future bright? Our plan for a strong economy will ensure Saskatchewan continues to grow. That means more good jobs, more investment, more opportunities, growing export markets, and vibrant communities. The Saskatchewan Growth Plan is the foundation of the Saskatchewan Party's plan to keep our economy strong and realize our full economic potential as a province. Since 2007, the population has grown by over 250,000 people. Nearly 100,000 new jobs have been created in your town and mine. Saskatchewan's economy grew by more than 27% from 2007 to 2023. Saskatchewan's real GDP reached an all-time high of almost $78 billion in 2023, with the second highest year-over-year growth in Canada. The value of Saskatchewan's exports grew from 20 billion under the NDP to almost 50 billion in 2023, an increase of 150%. Building on a track record of growth since 2007, a re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will continue to advance the Saskatchewan Growth Plan. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Lori and Erica. Really appreciate your being here with us and taking these questions that are critical to our urban communities. And Lori, I'm going right back at you. So something that we hear, that I heard many times as I've been doing the regional meetings across our province, bylaw compliance is critical and crucial in having safe and vibrant communities. Unfortunately, most of our urban municipalities have enormous struggle to properly enforce and prosecute bylaws. Provincial judges often don't want to hear about our municipal cases, and legislation doesn't allow most infractions to be added to our tax rolls. How would your party assist urban municipalities with this struggle that we're seeing daily in our municipalities?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that question, Randy. And I do understand where municipalities are coming from. I know that when I had the opportunity to sit on Estevan City Council for approximately 10 years, our council was fortunate enough to actually have a bylaw enforcement officer. So, you know, those are some of the avenues that can be used for municipalities. But of course, we've got a lot of smaller municipalities. And I think the strategic plan that we have going with policing in the province of Saskatchewan, investing those dollars, $250 million in 160 frontline municipal police positions throughout the province, an increase of 85 positions. And we also have increased our CMP funding by 65% since 2011. So being able to use some of the resources, I guess, that we have existing, but the fact that we're investing in so many new resources for our municipalities should be able to help with some of this bylaw enforcement issues that they have. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Lori. So Erica, coming at you with this question, how would your party assist urban municipalities with the struggle on bylaw compliance, enforcement and prosecution?
Randy, you know, municipal bylaws are laws and they need to be enforced. That's undoubtable. Unfortunately, too many municipalities don't have enough police resources to address serious crimes and violence in our communities, and municipal enforcement is forced to fall by the wayside. Saskatchewan New Democrats are committed to scrapping the Marshal's service and investing $10 million to increase supports for municipal police forces and another $10 million to support and improve mental health and addictions. By improving public safety and reducing crime, we can ensure that there will be adequate resources available to fund CSOs in our communities and ensure that we have that bylaw enforcement and it can receive the attention that it deserves. We're also open to a conversation around opening up the Police Act to modernize it and provide a more holistic approach to policing to free up police resources and bring in other supports, including mental health professionals, social workers, CBOs, and other wraparound supports. I also want to say that, you know, people are worried about our economy and they want to see good jobs to support families and communities. Scott Moe has the worst economic record in Canada, second worst in full-time jobs, and second worst in economic growth. We've lost 40,000 jobs in rural Saskatchewan, and we've lost almost 1,000 businesses outside Regina and Saskatoon. Now, Scott Moe can talk a good game about the economy, but when you look at the results, he's failed to get the job done. And by investing in our economy, we can ensure that we have that revenue base for municipalities to be able to fund the programs and services that they need to continue to have their communities grow, to be vibrant and strong. So we need an all of the above approach. We're committed to doing that and getting us out of last place when it comes to healthcare, education, and the economy. Thanks.
Thank you very
Randy?
much. Yes.
I don't think I quite used my 2 minutes. Could I just give you one little other tidbit when it comes specific to bylaw enforcement?
Yes, I will allow that.
So an elected Saskatchewan party government will advance new options to ensure municipal bylaws are enforced, including through the introduction of a community bylaw court hub model, such as Kindersley's municipal bylaw court has right now. So we've already done a pilot project and we plan on expanding that throughout the province. Okay.
Thank you very much. We now have a few questions that have come from the participants on this morning's webinar, and I'm going to go to those. So we have 3 additional questions. We have until about 11:20 for these questions, when we will then go to the closing comments from both you, Lori, and from you, Erica. So this is question number 14. And we're going to start with Erica. And the question that came from our participant is, long-term care is a major concern for many communities, and the demographics of our small communities will only increase the need. What is your party's plan to address the needs of our aging population? So what is your party's plan to address the needs of our aging population? I'm going to go to you, Erica, and then to you, Lori.
Thank you, Randy, for the question. I mean, I'll start by saying that it's time to look after our seniors. We want all parents and grandparents to be able to enjoy their retirement in safety and dignity. And we don't want to worry about whether they have what they need. In Saskatchewan, too many seniors are struggling to get good, safe, dignified care. And the Sask Party has scrapped minimum care standards for long-term care and has let wait lists for a bed go through the roof. We need to invest in home care to keep people at home as long as possible, to make home care in Saskatchewan the best in the country. We need to invest in long-term care so that there are enough staff with enough time to care for our loved ones. And we need to cut costs for seniors by cutting the PST in the grocery store. And the status quo currently under this government isn't good enough, and we can do better under a Carla Beck government. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica, for the reply. And I'm going to go, Lori. What is your party's plan to address the needs of our aging population?
Thank you for the question, Randy. And I mean, obviously, this is near and dear to all of our hearts as we all have seniors in our lives. I think there's always more work to be done, but we have been doing a lot of work on this front. And I'm going to start with the infrastructure funding that has gone into long-term care facilities across the province. In a lot of communities, right from the north to the south, we have made investments for seniors in 15 new long-term care facilities. And there are actually 6 more that are underway. And one of those is, I'm fortunate enough to be getting one in my community, but I know that throughout the process, they did an assessment of the surrounding area, including rural communities, small towns, to see what their needs were at the same time. We do have several smaller long-term care facilities in the region, but just ensuring that as we're building, that we're taking all of that into consideration. As well, we have added 300 more continuing care assistants to long-term care homes throughout this province. And we're committed to continuing to do that work throughout the province. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Lori, and don't mute because I think you're next for the question number 15. And this question comes from the Mayor of Kipling. So Mayor Jackson, thank you for your question. And it's a very direct question. And I'm going to ask it. Is your party prepared to commit to eliminating the PST on municipal construction projects? So Lori, the answer, please.
Okay, currently, a portion of the PST, as everybody knows, does go to municipal revenue sharing. And I talked in an earlier answer about the millions of dollars that actually go back to municipalities just on the PST that is charged to government of Saskatchewan that goes back to those municipalities. So right now, the formula is what it is.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lori, for your reply. And I'm going to go to Erica now on Mayor Jackson's question. Is your party prepared to commit to eliminating the PST on municipal construction projects?
Thank you for that question, Mayor Jackson. I think as I've already indicated, we're focused on a few things. First of all, that predictability and stability in terms of the municipal revenue sharing formula, and consistently over time. We saw how the Sask party froze the amount that municipalities were receiving in lead up to the last provincial election to cover off on their own financial mismanagement. We would not do that. Also, we've talked about the ways that we will ensure that offloading and downloading onto municipalities will be addressed to ensure that those things that are actually provincial responsibility are being handled at that provincial level, and that we're ensuring that we're addressing things like crime and mental health that is affecting the safety of our communities, and restricting the budgets of municipalities to deliver on the programs and infrastructure requirements of your communities. And lastly, I would also mention again, working collaboratively. That's what we are proposing and committing to doing with all levels of government and with all community partners to ensure that we can be providing the best level of service in a collaborative and an effective way, working with the federal government, regardless who's in power, and ensuring that our needs as a province are being put as a priority, that we go after getting the rebates for the charges of carbon tax onto municipal services. We'll fight for you to get that back, and also ensure that the municipal grant programs that are developed moving forward provide you with that flexibility that you need to deliver your programs in your communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of you for that question from Mayor Jackson. And question number 16, and Erica, you're up next. We just continue to roll here. Small urban municipalities often struggle to access the infrastructure funds that are focused on multi-million-dollar projects, which small municipalities cannot afford to pay 1/3 of. What would your party do to address this?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, I certainly appreciate that small urban municipalities are limited both in financial resources, but also people resources, ensuring that you've got those shovel-ready projects in the hopper and ready to go when the funding announcements come out. And so, as a Saskatchewan New Democrat government, what we would be doing is working with you to ensure that you have the supports that you need, and working with SUMA to put together those proposals so that you have them ready when the financing calls do come about. And I also mentioned, there's been some, programs that the Sask Party Government Council that provided the kind of supports that you mentioned, in terms of shuttering the Communities of Tomorrow program over a decade ago, or the Office of Climate Change, and now looking at ways to assist with the Municipal Eco Action Center to ensure that you have those supports in place to put together plans and proposals, work with experts and community partners to be able to address the needs in your community, because we understand what those challenges are. I've mentioned them in my previous answers, around aging infrastructure, continuing to have safe water supply. That's crucial as municipal governments, decommissioning of landfills, all of those things. We understand they cost communities money that they don't necessarily have the resources, and we'll work with you collaboratively to find those answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Now, Lori, to you on the 1/3 affordability for infrastructure projects. What would your party do to address this?
Great. Thank you so much for the question. Whoever put it forward, it is a great question, because municipalities, a lot of them cannot afford some of those bigger projects that their citizens and their residents really would like to have. And I think of, whether it be a hockey ice surface or some kind of community place that you can gather, those things just get so expensive for one small community to do. But I know that as we've looked at some of the projects that have been approved in the past, when it comes to municipal cooperation, if you can get a group of communities within a certain, physical space agreeing on something, and having that municipal cooperation absolutely helps carry some of that burden. And sometimes you end up with better outcomes at the end of the day. So just encouraging that municipal cooperation. And of course, we will continue to advocate with the federal government on a new infrastructure program that comes forward to allow communities to have the flexibility to be able to put those funds on what is important to them, and not necessarily what might be a priority of a federal government. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. And I'm going to go to the last question. We're going to squeeze it in before we go to closing comments. And it's much to what we already spoke about, but very specific about one thing. And I'm going to start with you, Lori. Recreation infrastructure is extremely costly to build and then to maintain, especially when surrounding municipalities refuse to contribute to the cost despite their residents making use of the facilities. What would your party do to address this?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've already talked about here that we've been working on with SUMA is the Targeted Sector Support Program. And I know that within that program, some of that is looking at communities that do collaborate with each other. I do know that within the approval process of capital projects, when it comes to a program like ISIP, that programs and communities that did have that municipal cooperation definitely got an extra check mark on their list because they are taking that time to work with communities. I guess building those bridges one at a time. At one time, you know, we were part of a municipality that probably didn't have the best of relationships. And I think that has turned around with seeing that what is better for those as a whole is better altogether. And so I'll continue to encourage municipal cooperation, which is kind of what I touched on in the last answer. Sometimes it's people and not necessarily communities. So as we go into municipal elections, who knows what'll happen? And that relationship may change and you may have that cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori. And now to you, Erica. How would your party address the issues that come down to costs of recreation facilities and municipalities' cooperation?
Thanks, Brandy. You know, I guess it's just, you know, I think the answer is in the question. It is about cooperation at the end of the day, and what are the underlying factors that are going to ensure that we can have that cooperation happening at the municipal level. And I think it comes down partly to, you know, the modeling of leadership, of how to work in collaboration and seize on the opportunities that are, you know, surround us here in Saskatchewan. We're so proud of our province, its people, its resources. And in order for us to see that cooperation, communities need to see other levels of government also modeling that collaboration and cooperation by working together with different levels of government. And people are tired of the divisiveness, the polarization that we see in politics today. They want to see their leaders working collaboratively and constructively. And that's what you will get with a Carla-backed government, is a government that's willing to work collaboratively and ensure that municipalities can also have the environment in which they can work together with other municipal governments in surrounding areas to ensure that that cooperation is happening. And that comes from dialogue and discussions of work that SUMA does to provide the forums and the opportunities for mayors of towns and cities to meet and talk through those issues. And you know, and we wanted to provide a space where that work can continue to go forward and those solutions can be identified in the best interest of all the parties to those agreements. And so I think it comes down to relationships and dialogue at the end of the day, and we would work to support that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, I really want to say thank you for both of you for joining our members that are on this webinar and in the future who will watch the recording. So we really appreciate your time to join us. Our questions, we've come to the end of our questions, but this is the time now, and we're basically right on time for your closing remarks. And with Erica completing the last question last, Lori, I'm going to go to you, and the timer will start with 2 minutes for your closing remarks, please.
Well, thank you to SUMA for hosting this forum this morning. Saskatchewan is growing at its fastest pace in more than a century. A strong and growing economy means more jobs and opportunities in our province, vibrant communities, and a great quality of life for Saskatchewan people. We have a plan for a strong economy that will ensure Saskatchewan communities continue to grow. We have a plan for a growing province that will keep investing in healthcare and education and other important programs and services to ensure everyone in our province enjoys a great quality of life. We have a plan for building Saskatchewan that will focus on building hospitals, schools, highways, and other important capital projects that a growing province needs. We have a plan for keeping life affordable that will reduce taxes, put more money back into your pocket, and ensure Saskatchewan continues to be the most affordable place in Canada to live. We will continue to also fight the Trudeau NDP carbon tax, so it is eliminated completely. We have a plan for responsible fiscal management that will continue to see the budget return to balance and ensure our election commitments are responsible. We have a plan to invest in our municipalities. The Saskatchewan Party will keep our predictable and stable municipal revenue sharing agreement, and the Saskatchewan Party will invest in new frontline police officers in your cities, towns, and villages. But these investments are only possible due to the strength of a growing economy. So the question in this election is who will keep our economy strong and our future bright? The Saskatchewan Party plan will do just that, keep the economy strong and our future bright. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori. We really appreciate you participating with us this morning and with all the members that are here joining us.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Erica, I'm going to go to you now for your closing remarks. And I know the timer will be there. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Randy, for this opportunity that SUMA has provided for this very productive conversation this morning. I want to also thank Ms. Carr for her time today. And I want to take a moment to also make a special acknowledgement to the SUMA leadership and staff. I appreciate the work that SUMA does and has done in supporting our urban municipalities, the work that they've done to prepare briefing materials on the main concerns confronting our urban municipalities, and all of the ways that you advocate on behalf of your communities to our legislative assembly and our caucuses. We've canvassed a lot of issues here today, and it's been great to be able to sit down and talk about our plans to make life better for Saskatchewan people. And our team knows municipalities are an important partner in accomplishing that goal. We're not going to make cuts to municipal funding, and we're not going to be downloading onto municipalities. We're not going to be raising taxes on people or businesses. We're going to be lowering costs for families. And we're going to be making investments to get Saskatchewan out of last place on healthcare and education. We're ready to work with you, to listen, to collaborate on our shared priorities. That's going to be the approach of a Carla Beck, Saskatchewan New Democrat government. So thank you all so much for your time this morning, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you very much to both of you for taking the time, and we wish you the very best in your upcoming elections. And as you know, today at 4 o'clock is the nomination deadlines in our urban municipalities across this province for the leaders to put their nominations in. So I want to say thank you to all our municipal leaders who have given their time, their dedication, their passion to really growing our province and all our communities. And I just want to say best of luck to all of them, and to the ones that are now deciding they're going to move to something else. I want to say thank you for your public service, because we know that there can be challenges, but there are also some great rewards in all our communities across this province. So to the audience that has been with us this morning, there's going to be a short poll that will appear on your screen. So please take the time to fill this out, because it only helps us to improve. And remember, please, to keep an eye on Municipal Update and the member emails for future webinars and other events and capacity building opportunities that SUMA provides. So as you're filling out the poll, again, I would like to thank you very much to all of the 2 candidates for joining us today and giving of their time and their knowledge and their expertise and the work that they do within the province. So we will be providing a recording of this presentation to all the registrants in the next few days. And I just want to say thank you very much for attending, to both our members of the Legislative Assembly. We value your participation, and in the future, we look forward to continuing our dialogue and our work together to every day working for the people that call this province home. So thank you very much. The very best to everyone.